everybody, and welcome to AFTV, the preview show. We are previewing this weekend's game against Everton. It's a must-win game. On the show today, I've got two of my favourite AFTV contributors. To my left, I've got my boy Dan Potts in the building. To my right, I've got my boy Matt Pincus in the building. How are you both?
Good. Apart from it's very wet outside and miserable.
Man.
Everything else is good.
It's terrible, but at least we've got something to look forward to later on tonight because I'm heading up to the West End where we've got our AFTV Christmas party. But before all that, let's talk about what we came here to talk about, Arsenal against Everton. Now, I know we say this every week, Matt, but this is a must-win game, right?
Must-win game. I think that we're starting to feel the pressure a little bit. Everyone, the players, staff, fans, we're sort of looking at City and they're looking quite good. And now is the time to really go out and just win games of football, which is not as common as it was a couple of months ago. I'm not going into every game now thinking, yeah, we're just going to wipe the floor with them. But yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this one. This is a big one.
I can understand it. Dan, we did win our last game, but boy, me and you were speaking earlier next door off camera about the performance, and you was quite scathing of Arsenal, as pretty much all of us was. I guess the only positive thing you can say about that is that we played pretty poorly and still managed to get the win. So at the moment, we still retain our 2-point lead. But does it give you cause for concern, or was it just a blip? Was it a one-off?
Well, I'm hoping it's a blip. The only positive was the result. That was literally it. It's the first time in history that we've never scored a goal and won a game. So you can't be too positive about the actual performance. But it certainly was a must-win game, as they all are. I was quite optimistic at 2-0. Everyone was laughing at me. I would have taken 2-0, looking back. But
so what went wrong then? I mean, were we complacent? Were Wolves better than we thought we were?
I'll say this quickly. I don't think both against Villa and Wolves, the opposition have been given enough credit. And I'll be honest, I'm not using that as an excuse to say, they were brilliant, what were we supposed to do? Because we should have beaten both Villa and Wolves, in my opinion. However, when you look at what they did in terms of a game plan, Rob Edwards was devastated not to get something out of that game. And you can see what they were trying to do. They know they have to come and play football against us. They ain't going to beat us today. Let's just say how it is, yeah? But we should have quite comfortably beaten Wolves. It was the fixture everybody probably would have wanted to be like, that's a nice fixture.
Well, we were calling it a stat pad fixture prior to it. Yeah. I guess you know what? I guess we were guilty of complacency. The fans were. Do you think that rubbed off on the players?
I don't know if it rubbed off on the players in terms of how the fans felt, but I do think some of the fans were overconfident without saying any names, Matt. But what I will say...
What did I say, 7?
I think it was 7-0.
7-0?
Yeah.
You said that at half-time.
But look, I'll be real. Like, that game's done now, and we need to look at... This is going to be a completely different game, in my opinion. It's against an opposition who have a manager who has kind of had Mikel Arteta's number over the years in terms of a system. Now, I understand and appreciate that going into this game, there's a couple of injury concerns for Everton, and there's actually a couple that are in the African Cup of Nations, who I would say are probably two of their most important players in terms of how they play, Gana Gay and Enjoy. Now, they've also got Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who's out, apparently injured, and Jack Grealish is a doubt. But I don't know if that's going to matter too much to the system that they play, because the way that they set up is normally what gets David Moyes points against Arsenal, not the player quality, because Arsenal have a better side. Let's just say it how it is, right? So that would be what would be my concern. The other concern I've got, and I spoke to you about this off air, Laurie, we are probably going to be second going into this game, because I imagine Manchester City are probably going to trounce West Ham at home, right? It would be a shock if they don't. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they drop. But then the pressure comes, because all the media, Arsenal, there we go, second, you're second now. And then that's going to see whether we're a lion or a jellyfish, right? Let's see if we're going to be a jellyfish and crumble, then that will be a huge question mark in this mentality of this side. If we go in there and say, I actually care what Man City do, I care about what we do, let's go win our game and let's just ignore the noise, then I think I'll be more confident that Arsenal can actually change their mentality to go, don't actually matter what everyone else does, it matters what we do. Because I think Matt said it a few weeks ago, we will lose this league, not Man City win it. Yeah, and I do not want to see us going against Everton with the pressure and then dropping points again, because that will start to put doubt in people's minds. And I'll go from a couple of weeks ago with you and Stricto saying, beat Chelsea, I'll be confident we will win this league, to actually, we're 3 weeks away, we haven't beaten Villa, we've not been comfortable against Wolves, and we haven't managed to get across the line against Everton. I'm not sure we will win this league. And that's how quickly football can change.
You make some very good points. Matt, over to you. What do you reckon? Because he does make some salient points there.
He does make some good points, and I 100% agree. I think that we've got to take the approach of focusing on us, because once you start looking at Man City and start looking at their results and how they're moving, then you start to feel the pressure. I don't know. I always ask older people, because I've never witnessed us win anything. So I'll ask you both. During the eras of when we were winning titles, were you looking closely at United's results or Chelsea's results? Were you looking at that? Were you just focusing on Arsenal, knowing that we were going to do the business?
I think the latter is the case. And I think that's something that Dan hinted at that I believe in. I think when you're in a title race or, you've got aspirations of winning a title, you have to focus on your own performances and your own results. The minute you start looking at other teams, and that's when the doubts and the second guessing comes into play.
I'll add to that quickly. The reason it was a little bit different back then was because when I was going into the games, I was looking at 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe even more, 15 or 16 Warriors that have been there and done it. So I was looking at Vieira to get us across the line, Adams to get across the line, Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Ashley Cole. Now I'm looking at a team that I really like a lot, but they haven't really won anything yet. So I'm not sure that this team and manager can have the mentality to get across the line. That's the only difference right now. It's not about, are these players good enough? Is this manager good enough? It's not about that anymore, I don't think. I think are these team and manager good enough to get us across to the next level? Because they're good. They're clearly good players and good manager. But can they go and win it? And that's the difference. I knew Wenger had already won something, and not just at Arsenal. I knew that this team and players had gone and done stuff outside of Arsenal, and now they're together. I'm not talking about 98 team, the 2002 team, the Invincibles. They'd all done something. They'd all had winners in there. And that's why I think a lot of people are looking at Man City and going, well, I'm not questioning them because they've got Pep. He's done it before. Haaland's done it before. Foden's, Rodri, etc. And Arsenal players, we can't say the same about that. Once we looked at, maybe we do it in March and we lift something and people go, oh, hang on a minute. They're now one saying now. But that's the only question mark I've got to that era of Arsenal. And that's the only difference we got. So I think we probably were looking at Man United's results and Chelsea's results, but we had faith in the players to go, well, it doesn't really matter, because they might look and go, well, that's giving me the pressure to want to go and win now because they've won. Yeah. And I'm not sure that we've got that at Arsenal yet.
Well, yeah, I'll regurgitate exactly what I said on another show a couple of months ago now, is when you look for our team, there isn't a single weakness. And like you just said about the only team stopping us is us. It's when the going gets tough and we're playing 3 games a week, travelling all over Europe, no rest, nothing. Do these players have the mentality, which I'd like to think that they do, because they're all... What I'm saying is there's no denying that these boys are unbelievable at football, but it's, do you have that winning mentality, which we can't say we do yet because we haven't won anything. But these players are more than capable of doing it. It's just, it's the patterns of the past that come back to haunt us a little bit. Whereas I just want us all to believe. And I think that the belief does transcend around the stadium when everyone believes.
Yeah, I hear that. What do you make of the away form, though? Because the away form recently has not been great, has it? I mean, Sunderland, we dropped points. Chelsea, we dropped points. Villa, we got beat. And now potentially tough game away to Everton, which is not an easy place to go by any means. Are you concerned at the away form? Are you concerned at the form in general?
I'm not concerned of the away or home form. I'm concerned of the lack of momentum that we've got at the moment. I don't think it's quite there. And I think since Bayern Munich and Spurs, it's as if those 2 games have totally wiped us out. And they shouldn't have, really, because Spurs were terrible. And Bayern Munich, I thought it was a very good game of football, but it wasn't really the massively important one. It actually was Chelsea that people were looking at more than Bayern Munich. And we've had Chelsea with 10 men. We didn't look great. Obviously, Aston Villa went and beat us. We didn't look great against Wolves. And now we go into an Everton game, which we'll have one eye on a fixture on a Tuesday night, which some people would say is more important to stay in that competition in terms of the League Cup. And I want to be winning both of them and taking them kind of both at least seriously, because I do believe that we've got a squad now that's good enough to compete on all 4 fronts. Absolutely. And I appreciate that we've got injuries. A lot of people have got injuries. It is frustrating how we're getting these injuries, and that's probably another podcast. But when I look at the momentum going into this game, I do have question marks, and I just want the players to show up. And like we've done it before with Mikel Arteta's sides, where we go, let's say we go and beat Everton 3-0. Everybody will go, wow, but they'll go, where was that against Wolves? And we've done that so many times where we'll lose a game or we'll drop points, and then we'll go and do something, and we think, hang on a minute, I never saw that coming. Why didn't we do that the other night? And I just feel like, I hope that we are talking like that after Everton.
Yeah. Well said. Let's have a look at what we may believe to be the team. I know this will be covered on another AFTV forum.
Whoa, that's me and Lee's.
No, but you guys have got a different way of doing it now.
Yeah.
Which affords us the opportunity to talk about, because I do think in previewing a game, it is important to touch upon the team.
100%.
Because obviously the team that we play is going to be important in that match. Dan, let's start with you. Would you like to see any changes from the team that took the field against Wolves that was so impressive?
I've got a couple of question marks about what he might do, because I think it's important to look at what Mikel Arteta might do as opposed to what we all want to see, because there's been stuff I'd like to see at Arsenal which I've not seen under the Wenger era and Emery era and Arteta era. But I think the back line picks itself due to injuries. I don't think we're going to see anything other than Calafiori come back in from his suspension against Wolves at left back. There's a doubt on Zubamendi and his fitness, so I'm not sure if he's going to start this one or come on or play a part in it. I think he'll look towards Tuesday night as well with that one. I think the big question mark is what we do in the front line, because a lot of people are saying that Mourinho suits this system more and that Victor Gyökeres is not the guy at the moment. And I've started to put doubts to think, have I got this one wrong? Because I really wanted him. I really wanted Gyökeres. Is it a system problem? Is it a Mikel Arteta problem? Is it a Victor Gyökeres issue in terms of individually? Is he just struggling right now? And I think it's a little bit of all those, if I'm honest. I can't help but think that people will say, don't play Mourinho, you can't drop Gyökeres, it would be awful for his confidence. But you've got to win this game. And if he is going to have a bit of a stinker and Mourinho comes on to win us a game, it's probably going to knock his confidence anyway. So do you start to use Gyökeres in a different way to bring him on, to give him a bit more confidence, to say we start Mourinho and bring Gyökeres on? So they're the kind of question marks. So what's our midfield going to be if Zubamendi isn't fit, and who's going to start up top for us?
Yeah, there are a couple of issues in that midfield. So, for example, to me, the number 10 role will be important, as it is in any game, Matt. But there is that issue now we're kind of seeing with the sort of Eze versus Odegaard. Which one does he go down?
Yeah, I think that Eze is the one that, if Eze has a good game, Arsenal have a good game. I don't know if you remember Newcastle. I know he scored a hat-trick against Spurs, but I thought that was probably Eze's best performance overall in an Arsenal shirt. He was probably good for a hat-trick on that day. And I don't know what it was. I'm not the most tactical person. I'm not very good at looking at, what that game was and why he stood out so much. But I want to know if there's a way that we can get that performance back. Do you remember that game very well? Yeah, what do you think it was? Because there was a very good link-up between Eze and Gyökeres and Saka on that right. There was like a sort of triangular link up between those three in particular. That's what I want to see a little bit more of, because all three of those are lethal. Eze is lethal. Gyökeres is lethal. Saka is lethal. I think that we might be using Eze in the wrong way. I think that we didn't sign Eze to track back. We didn't sign him to... I know he lost his man against Villa, but you can't be expecting Eberici Eze to be in the box marking Matty Cash. That's not the player that he is. It's not the player that we bought him for. Yeah. We bought him to get the ball in the middle, have fun with it, and create something out of nothing. And I want to see Eze sitting in that midfield, taking a little bit more risks, not having to come back. That's not his bag.
So if he does that, though, and which I do agree with you, by the way, to me, Eze, the running game stuff is not his game.
It's not his
He's
bag.
a creator. He does to do his stuff in the other third of the pitch. And at Palace, he was afforded that because they had the likes of Wharton and one or two others and Sarr and everybody else that was doing the running for him. With Mikel Arteta, Dan, he likes a certain type of individual in terms of the way the work rate, getting up and down and pitch. To me, that's not the best way to play Eze. Do you think he goes with Odegaard in the 10 this weekend, or do you think he stays with Eze for the creativity?
Odegaard will play because he's the captain and Arteta loves him, and he is kind of teacher's pet, really. I know you shouldn't really say you have favourites. No, but I think with
He didn't start.
He didn't start. Yeah, I think with Odegaard, I think we're overlooking Odegaard and Eze a little bit, and I like both players, by the way, but I don't quite know what they're bringing to Arsenal at the moment. And I think we need to put the pressure, because they're bloody good players on their day. I think we need to put a bit more pressure on them to ask what they're doing. Now, also ask the question why it isn't working for either of them, because I understand what people say about Eze's press, and I think that's important. But that can't take away the creativity, and I'm not seeing enough from him. I get annoyed every time he lofts the ball over the defenders. I mean, I think I've said it to you, if I'm a striker, I'm getting really annoyed with that ball. because that's very, unless you're Van Persie and you're putting it top bins, you don't do much for that, are you? Yeah. And your first touch, if you've got hopefully it's Titus Bramwell at the back who can't get it back. Yeah, because everyone's going to just, by the time you're on your touch, they're on you. So it's not really the through ball unless you've got millions of space, which they never really have. I need to see him threading balls through, and I saw that in 21-22. I saw that in the era of Ødegaard where people were going, okay, maybe he is our creative spark. I'm not seeing that Ødegaard for a while. With Eze, when we signed him, I know a few Crystal Palace fans, and they said, "You're not playing on the left wing, are you?" That's what they said.
Oh, really?
And I said, "I think we are." And they went, "Oh my God, I hope you're not, for your sake."
Yeah.
And I went, "That's interesting," and I know why. I've seen him, and he can't play there. And he's not a lightning quick winger, Eze, is he? He cuts inside. He's quite slow and casual on the ball. He circles on the ball. He's looking for that pass, and I think he's looking to try and break low blocks. And I'm not sure we've profiled him into do that enough yet. So I'm looking at both of these individuals to step up, but I'm looking to see if there's any tweaks we see from Mikel Arteta. I'd like to see both of them play together, if I'm honest with you.
Agreed.
We've not really got to see that yet, and I hope that we can in the next coming weeks.
Do you think that his game is being a little bit restricted, maybe? Do you think Arteta might not want him to be taking those risks? Because there aren't really many risks in this Arsenal team. I don't see, apart from Noni Madueke at Bruges the other day, who whacked in a shot from 30 yards, you don't really see that often.
No,
and Rice has a couple of pop shots, but it's not even trying to walk it into the net, just trying to head it into the net.
The point you made there about shots, Dan will tell you, anybody that watches our watch-alongs, they will tell you that I'm always banging on about shooting from outside the box as a way of...
Well, look at Noni the other night.
Yeah, exactly.
I said it in the preview. All these players are capable of doing that, but you're never going to find out if you don't shoot.
That must be something, a coaching instruction from the team, the coaching staff, because it can't be a coincidence why we don't do that more. And everybody's noticed it. I mean, it's interesting because I came across a stat the other day. Aston Villa have scored 10 goals this season from outside the box. How many do you think Arsenal have scored?
2?
2.
Is it 2?
2.
Wow.
So that tells you.
Look at when we had Unai Emery. We were
Everybody's
scoring
talking about
worldies. Xhaka was scoring worldies. Aubameyang was scoring worldies. Lacazette scoring worldies. So I don't know. Arteta is a very clever man. He knows how. He's one of the best managers on the planet. Surely he's smart enough to realise that if you don't shoot, you don't score.
Well, this is it. I mean, we talk a lot on these shows about his attention to detail and how meticulous he is. We've spoken about the deployment of the set-piece coaches. We are now introducing long throws into the game. But shooting from outside the box, I thought that's standard. When I was playing football many, many years ago, we was encouraged that you get the ball outside the box and space opens up. The manager used to say, don't be afraid to have a pop. Because anything can happen from that. We could go straight in.
Yeah.
You force a goalkeeper to make a save, he has to push it out, possibly onto the path of another player.
Yep.
You could get a deflection, it goes for a corner.
Look at Wolves the other day. I think we had 2 shots on target, and I know for a fact one of them was Rice from the edge of the box, and the keeper parried it. Saka could have got there. Just take
a shot, man. Seriously, I watch the watch-alongs. I see the amount of possession we have. I see us playing with the ball in around the box. I'm seeing space open up. We're all saying, shoot, shoot, shoot. And they overpass it or underpass it. But I've got to ask you one thing. I nearly forgot. What's your take on the Gyökeres then, before we move on to other things? Because that is becoming quite a debate now about Arsenal fans.
I would start Gyökeres, because I want to take this game as the approach that we took the Newcastle game and utilise Marino as a sub. If it's not working out for Gyökeres, please God it is. I said it before a few weeks ago that being dropped isn't as much of an insult as it sounds, because sometimes you have to utilise players in different parts of the game. So, for example, I think if Marino started that game at Newcastle, which I keep referring to, I don't know if we would have won that. I think it was his impact off the bench that won us the game. So, I also think that Gyökeres struggles to get into the games when he comes on. So, I definitely start him. It is a little bit worrying. It is a little bit worrying why he's not getting. It almost seems like he doesn't want the ball.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
Jesus comes on and he's coming to the throw and he wants the ball. I want Gyökeres to just want the ball a little bit.
But are we providing him with the necessary service that he needs?
I think we can make a kind of argument for both here, right? Because we have an opinion on why we think it might not be going well or going wrong. I think there's evidence to suggest both things could be a little bit right here, right? It could be a system problem, and I'll tell you why quickly. Because no other nine has managed to get the best out of him. Like Arteta's got the best out of none of the nines at Arsenal, really, has he? Unless you're looking at Marino or Kai Havertz, but they're not. We wouldn't be in the market if.
I do think he's got the best out of Marino, if I'm being honest. Because in terms of
okay,
because when he first got appointed, for want of a better word, to that role, I was like, right, you reckon? Because he came to the club as a number 8.
Yeah, no one
You know
wanted
what I mean?
him to
So,
be our striker. I
yeah,
get that.
so-
And I think Marino and Havertz are the only two that he's managed to get anything out of, and that's because of they suit the system the best in terms of the kind of false 9 role, whatever people want to call it, right? Whenever we've tried to get something out of Lacazette or Aubameyang or Eddie Nketiah or now of late Victor Gyökeres, it hasn't really worked out. It's probably the only position I would say most people look at and go, they still don't really have a striker. Now we've bought one, it still isn't working. So I can say there's evidence that potentially the system is affecting Gyökeres. The other thing you've got is Victor Gyökeres just struggling at the moment, and I can make evidence for that as well. Because as much as I wanted to stick up for him, because I really wanted him and I made cases to why he'd be the guy and stuff, you have to look at some of the opportunity and the chances that he has had, and I think he should have done better with some of them. And I've seen him go through against Leeds and scuff it, and I've seen him go through against Athletic Bilbao and take it diagonally instead of a goal. I've seen him go through and miss chance against Port Vale, taking half hour to actually release it and shoot. They were all chances, which maybe some of them were more half chances than one-on-one goals, but certainly there were three where you would expect him to score, because I see him doing it for Sporting Lisbon. And the amount of people that say this is a farmers league, don't compare it to the Premier League, as much as I do think that it's nowhere near the strength of it, I don't know many other people that have scored 100 goals in 2 years in any league. Yeah. So he's clearly got an eye for goal. So there is definitely something there that I can make an argument in case for both. And I'm a little bit confused, and I keep flip-flopping saying maybe he ain't the guy, maybe he is, but it's the system. No, maybe he really isn't the guy, he's just missed there. Or maybe he's not touched the ball because it's the system. I can't work it out.
What I will ask you, though, is how many times have you seen him go to anyone else like, I'm here? I haven't seen it once. Whereas in Nketiah, I don't know if you remember, he was famously like that. He was always wanting the ball, wanting it to be squared to him. Even there was one at Leicester away in the Cup a few years ago where Pepe actually scored and he was fuming after the goal because he wanted the ball. Whereas I don't know if I'm seeing that from Gyökeres. I don't know how much he actually wants to score.
So you're saying it could be a desire issue as well?
Maybe a little desire, but I don't know. It's like, mate, you are Arsenal's number 9. You should be desperate to score goals. Desperate. You should be fuming when no one gives you the ball. Because you are the one that's been brought in to score goals and we know you can do it. So look like you want to do it is what I'll say.
There's also been a couple of opportunities where the ball has gone across the box and he's missed it by millimetres because he's not there in time, and that frustrates me because I'm like, whenever we had an Ian Wright or a Nicolas Anelka years ago, they were always in the right place at the right time. And I'm not saying he's anywhere near them levels because I don't think he is, but I look at the scenario of you being a 9, you need to be in the right place at the right time, and I think there's been arguments and evidence to suggest that hasn't been the case. So I need to see more from Gyökeres for sure.
I think that.
Quickly, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
I want to clear it up that a lot, like people watch this and might have a go at us for not slagging off Gyökeres but criticising him a little bit. But it's not that. It's we want him to do well.
Of course we do.
And people don't understand that. So we actually want him to do well. It's just there are question marks, and I think that there needs to be answers. I think.
No, listen, man. It's your call. No one is above criticism. No one is beneath praise. That's the way I look at it. It's your view. You're perfectly entitled to articulate it. I thought you articulated it well. Having said all that, we've spoken about the backdrop to this game, the team, sort of looked at tactics. Let's move to predictions. Let's start with you, Matt. It's a must-win game. Will we win it, and why?
I think we'll win it 2-1. I am so certain that we will go 1-0 down. And I can just feel it. I can just really feel like the whole world go, oh, Arsenal are second now and they're 1-0 down, not looking good. But I think I keep referring back to the Newcastle game. I just see it being a very similar game where we play quite well, probably concede against the run of play, and then we actually realise how good of a team we've got and release the handbrake a little bit and score a couple of goals. And I think we'll get one late on.
Well, if it does end up 2-1, I'll certainly take that. Dan, you don't look as confident as Matt does for some reason.
I think it's just the momentum at the moment that's got me. And I'm conscious that I went for 1-1 against Villa and I would have taken that now because we lost. I went 2-0 against Wolves, I'd have taken that now because that would have been much more comfortable. And I've been thinking all the last few days about this being 1-1, and I hope I'm wrong. I really do. So I'll be optimistic and go 1-0 to the Arsenal, keep a clean sheet. and get 3 points. But it really wouldn't surprise me if we drop points in this game, and it's all because of the pressure. And I just feel like we've been here before, and I've been here for 5 years, where we've had pressure on games and we've not quite been able to get across the line. And Sunderland and the Wolves' performance was 3 points. It wasn't a great performance. And Manchester City and Liverpool and the games where we've dropped points, the heat weren't really on. It was so early. I think the pressure will be on for the first time mega. It will be like a pressure cooker for the first time. And I appreciate it's early still. And even if we lost this game, we'd find ourselves a point behind City, so it wouldn't be all over. But at the same time, mentally, I think it'd do us some damage. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a 1-0 to the Arsenal. But I've been thinking 1-1 for a while, and I just hope I'm wrong.
So do I. I hope you're wrong too. You're not often wrong, but I hope you're wrong on this occasion. Me, I'm going to go 2-0. And the reason why I say that, 2-0 to Arsenal, that is, the reason why I say that, we need a performance. The game against Wolves are terrible. And we've not performed away from home for a little while. I think this could be the game where the players and the manager dig in. I'm sure you'll make them aware of just how important the game is. And added to that, I do think that Everton have some of their better players not available for this game. And I think all things being equal, I think that could be the difference. So I'm going Arsenal to win 2-0. But it will be, if it is 2-0, it will be a competitive 2-0. It won't be one of them where we just walk into their backyard and roll them over.
They're not very good at defending set pieces.
That's true.
I'll add to that. They're not. They've conceded a lot this season. Don't know how many to be exact, but we need to capitalise.
And I do expect Arsenal to have a lot of possession in this game, because even though Everton at home, I expect them to sit deep. And I just think that we've got a stronger squad. I think there's a lot of jeopardy in this game. We need a big performance, and I think we will certainly perform a lot better than we did against Wolves, because we have to. It's as simple as that. But anyway, guys, thanks for coming on and sharing your erudite opinions.
Thanks, mate.
To you both. And thanks to you guys for watching. Keep it locked and loaded on AFTV. Catch you on the next one. We're out.